Hello and welcome to a movie review. I'm the Bulk and today we're having a look at Despicable Me 3.
Birthday to you.
This film stars Steve Carell and Trey Parker and follows Gru, an ex-villain who's down in the dumps after losing his job at the Anti-Villain League. Now, he's moping and feeling that he's lost his sense of purpose until the arrival of his long-lost brother, Drew, which sets him on a resurgence and path of revenge. Now, normally I talk about a few bad points about a film. I can talk about certain things that I may feel aren't good about a film. I may talk about things that hinder me from liking the film too much. However, this time round I really can't bring myself to say much bad against this film. Mainly because it's just too fun. It's just too enjoyable. It's just too light-hearted and heartwarming to actually say much bad against it, really. The series is known for its bright and colourful visual style, which is here again. It's a very distinct visual style. You'll recognise it anywhere. And it's sort of setting up Illumination. The studio makes it as their own distinct company and with their own tastes in quality. The comedy is quite fresh and vibrant as it was in the previous films, though maybe not as much this time round. The humour is not reused jokes. I feel like I need to stress that it's not reused jokes, and a lot of it's visual gags and occasional wordplay, but and it's still very fresh, and pretty much 99% of it is good. There's only 1 or 2 little gags that may not come off properly, but that's only a very slight hindrance. And a lot of it's quite comedic sequences, not just specific jokes. Like they may have like a whole scene that turns quite comedic and is actually quite funny. Like they make a joke about running away from the police and then actually being chased by pigs. If you know, like the whole pun on police being called pigs, which is quite like catchy in the thing. Story-wise, the plot's decent, because when you're dealing with like long lost brothers coming back storylines, they're often handled a bit weird and often have the same familiar twists. They avoid that here and just let the character be a fun addition to the lore, which I enjoy. I think that's quite cool. And they also know how to expand the characters, so that's all good. Steve Carell as Drew, as Gru and Drew, the 2 brothers. Again, he's funny. He's always been good in the previous films. I've loved him in the previous films. This time around, he's very good. He also gives a very distinct style to Gru, the brother, as well. And when you have the conversation between the two, you've got a feel for him, like knowing how hard it is to do 2 voices like that. But he pulls it off quite well, and he makes both of them stand out. And he still conveys a lot of emotion through both of them, so I'm got to give him kudos for that. Kristen Wiig as Gru's wife Lucy is again good. I loved her in the second one. I felt she was really good in the second one, and I love her again in this one. She's given a bit of a I don't know how to put a bit of a feministy role, trying to be like a better mother to the girls, which I don't mind. I don't really mind. It's a nice way to develop the character. But again, she's a fun character. I feel like it may hinder her lightheartedness a bit, but she's again a really fun character to watch. Though hands down, I must admit, my favourite character in this entire film, one of my favourite characters probably in the series, absolutely loved him. He really brightened up the screen when he was there and added a lot of the best humour and the best visual jokes, was the villain Balthazar Brat, played by Trey Parker. Now, essentially, what he is, this villain was a child TV star in the 80s, and he had his own show called Evil Brat, and essentially it was about him being like a child villain doing naughty and bad things, and it was a big hit apparently. But once he hit puberty, he was deemed too ugly to act anymore, so they cancelled the show, and basically he lost favour, and he got quite disturbed by the fact how lost favour he was, and basically got obsessed with the show and vowed revenge on the people that kind of shunned him because of the way he aged. And he has he's very 80s inspired. He's got shoulder pads. He's got an 80s jumpsuit. When he fights, he dances at the same time. All of his weapons are 80s inspired. You got the guitar thing that he plays, bubblegum, Rubik's Cube's bomb. His lair is very distinct. I must admit, they did a really good job with his villainous lair, because Not only does like the outside of it look very distinct and quite eye-catching, also in the inside they've done a lot to make it very 80s infused. The writing for him's probably the best writing in the whole film, and I think he brings something extra to the film that I felt the film would have lacked if it didn't have him, essentially, as I feel. It was just very fun to watch. His plot was very simple, like his whole scheme was very simple, and you could kind of see it coming. Well, again, they explained it fairly quickly, so... But he's just fun to watch. He gets a lot of the best gags, a lot of the best fights. His catchphrase is a bit annoying, because... he says something along the lines of, "I've been a bad boy," and it's just great a bit, but it's fairly good. And the hands down the best thing I found was they started the film and have like several figures out of the film of basically of the show, and they give it like an 80s TV grain, and the effects in the show like look like 80s effects. Like for when there's a giant robot, it's literally just him in a robot suit, and I felt that worked quite well. I felt that was very clever, especially I like those type of things, so it was a very nice little touch for me. In terms of if anything, if with any little negatives I have, I won't get into it because again I feel like they really don't really matter to me too much. There is way too much going on. I think they have so many little subplots that are good, but they just bloat the film and prevent the film from having the emotional impact the other two did, because the other two are quite emotional films and almost touch on the quality that Pixar aim for, but not quite. And this time they have the lack of that. And it can be a bit annoying, but to me, I actually don't mind too much. Mainly because it's a very fun film. The plot is tundles along nicely. The minions aren't given a massive role, thank God, because I feel like they're getting a bit too overhyped, and they give them a decent story arc in this. They give all the characters a very good development arc, and again, I like the villain, I like the general plot, I like the way it goes, and if anything, it just continues the series the way the series should continue. My only thing I would say for the series going forward is they just need to try and return to that emotional aspect they had before and explore other emotional avenues. They had the chance to in this, but they didn't for some reason. I don't know why. But the film, again, is just fun. I went to see it with a friend who hadn't seen any of them before, hadn't seen any of the films before. So we went in, and he didn't really think much of it, and he thought he was going to absolutely hate it. But he went out, and he was the one saying it was one of the best films he'd seen, and he said it was really fun and just a very, very fun film to watch. So for that reason, I will give the film a 7 out of 10. It would get higher, but I just felt there are one or two things that prevent me from being able to bestow it with a higher rating. So, that's the end of the video. Did you see this film? If so, what did you think? Do you like the Despicable Me franchise? Are you fed up with Minions again? Please let me know down below. While you're down there, give that like and subscribe button a little tickle, and I'll be seeing you next time. Goodbye!